Going on, y'all? This is your boy DK Hammonds with Social Media Podcast and Social Media Church. And I have a guest who I've been following for a couple of months now. This guy is a man after my own heart. He he is scholared. He has done the work that it takes to be in conversations about this. He'll say more about that. He is the husband, a dad, a pastor, a theologue, and I would say he's probably a digital theologian just like me.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to bring him on to talk a little bit about the things that he's doing and how it can impact the local church. Justin, thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so very much for allowing me to be here, man. My name is Justin. I pastor Friendship Baptist Church in Vallejo, California. I'm the husband to one wife, praise the Lord, Courtney Lester, and my son, the coolest kid in the world, Camden Lester. Yeah, man. And my son is Cam. He's 7 years old, and so God has just been really kind. I went to school at Marquette University, Vanderbilt University for my MDiv, and then Boston University for my doctorate of ministry. And it was there, man. Well, at Vanderbilt, I started playing with this notion of building upon Du Bois's double consciousness with this notion of social media. I called it trifling triplicity. And that's when I first began to dive into how, especially as Black and brown people, the veils we wear and how social media created another veil, and how we have to navigate through that as pastors. And then I built upon that to then do work on gamification and the Black church and how we use gamification to revitalize African American religious spaces. And that was what my doctorate was in. So when you mentioned digital theology, my whole dissertation was on how do we infuse the tenets of gamification to sustain African American churches. And that's how it led me to AI. So I've been invested in technology since 2008. I remember when Twitter first came out, and I back with Facebook, and all that type of stuff, man, back in the early 2000s. And when I was a junior in college, and the Lord told me then, he said, you'll pastor in California. And I had a sense the third great awakening was going to happen soon. And I have a feeling we're on the verge of it. And so, man, 2022, the Lord moved my family out to California. And God has blessed us to connect with people at Meta, at Alphabet, at Google, at different spaces to actually build this work. And so now I'm all in on AI. I think AI is not going to replace people, but replace those who don't use it. And my fear is our churches are going to get left behind because we're stuck, not necessarily on 8-track. I think we're past 8-track. I think our church is still on CDs, and cars don't even have CD players anymore. And so I think we're stuck on CD ministry, and we're at a place where it's on Spotify. And so we're not even ready for MP3s, M4As. We're on CD. So we're not 8-tracks, but we got people who don't even have the input for the stuff we're trying to put out. And I think that gets to some of our sermons, our ideology, our theology, our explanation. And so love to talk about it. I love this, man. And I appreciate you reaching out. Oftentimes I sit here and think like you said, is anybody listening or seeing what we're doing? And so I'm grateful. This is a passion of mine. I wrote a book on it called The Church of AI. We can talk about in a little bit. And to dive into how we infuse, how we don't let the culture drive the church, but the church drives the culture. And I think in this case, we can drive the culture, not let the culture drive us.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. And welcome. I got to pull you in the world because I feel like you have so much to give. But I want to start the conversation around gamification in church. I think people don't understand how much gamifying is really happening, especially when you have learning management systems and CHMS systems. If y'all don't know, this episode gonna get real technical, so just sit back. We just gonna chew the fat. So they have these various systems that is pushing you to do to perform a certain behavior, right? So for instance, hey, we want you to sign up for this new Bible study class, and then at the end of the class, you'll see this nice little confetti come down saying, "Welcome, you did so good," and that triggers an emotional response to do more. Tell us how that impacts all churches when you have a realm of gamification at play.
And that's so real. So I love Madden, and that's where I based mine off of. I love Madden, and so you think about MUT teams, So all my work, man, I base it on that and how exactly what you're saying, how the rewards and objectives, how we reward people for their behavior to get them to a certain end. And as pastors and leaders, we know the vision God gave us. So God gave us the vision for the church. Even if
Yeah,
I don't like it, it's what God wants the church to do. And our
absolutely.
responsibility is to do whatever we can to fulfill what God wants us to fulfill. In the process, people are not going to agree with it, whether that's the people of Israel leaving out of Egypt, and finding a way to find problems, right? And getting frustrated with God's outpour of His love, and then getting frustrated when He got angry too, right? So
Yeah,
all these ways where we're trying to make sure that we keep people aligned with the vision. And so the way that we can infuse gamification is creating veterans, right? And so creating veterans. So that's not, I wanted to de-age and de-gender, right? Veterans. And
yeah,
so creating veterans, no matter what their age are, literally based upon their impact and their
yeah,
influence,
yeah.
and then do and rewarding. And it's amazing. So we started this thing at our church band called Membership Appreciation Month.
Of course.
Literally, it's nothing more than rewards and right.
That's all
And
it
it's based.
is.
And we did a member of the month parking space. It's just
Hmm.
another reward, and it's
That's it.
all these little ways to show people that hey, how you serve the Lord,
Yeah,
um, can be rewarded. So had to get to so my work, man, really looked at values based objectives. So based upon our values, do you align with and follow through on the values? So like one of our values is we laugh loud, hard, and often. So we reward people who laugh on Sunday, right? Um, we value doing anything short of sin to reach those who are far from God. And so
yeah.
whenever we see people break the church mold, we reward them openly with a video or a t-shirt or
Of
something. And it
course.
was ways, man, to reward the values. And I think one of the areas our churches get mixed up is we reward what other churches are doing instead of rewarding our values. And if we
Oh
build
my
our
God.
churches based upon our values, like
Yes.
these are our pillars. And
Yes.
I will not compromise on culture. I'll be flexible on the details, but I'm inflexible on culture. And that is, we reward that. So the same way, man, absolutely. So that gets then from the larger picture to then
Yeah.
some of the systems. That's like things like mini chat, things like, whatchamacallit, using Facebook Messenger, using social media, using TikTok. Though that's a part of it, but really looking at gamification beyond the systems to the culture and how we use gamifying to change an entire culture. And for me, man, I base this off of Reed Hastings and Netflix. So in his
Yes.
work, No Rules Rules, this he rewards high performance people, he rewards value based driven people, and he rewards consistency. And so I said, while I can't do it with money, I can do it with
Yes.
parking spaces,
Yes.
T-shirts,
Yes.
magnets,
Absolutely.
license plates, and things you get off Alibaba for 30 cents,
Come on, man.
right? And it's
Come on.
amazing how, in my opinion, we spend, on the average church, you're looking at $2,000 a week in a music pit. Well, you could take 500 of that and buy some magnets that are going to reach the entire community. And I
Yeah.
think our churches, man, don't spend money based upon our values. We spend it
Come
based upon
on, man.
popularity and our
Yes.
social clout. And so I started reintroducing to our church, my former church and this one as well, how we make sure everything is based upon our values. And
Come
that's where
on.
we gamify for our values. And so laughter, man, we only take pictures of it. And if you ever look at our social media pages, there's a whole lot of laughter, a whole lot of silliness. Like we don't even put a lot of sermon clips up. It's all how we build our faith, and we gamify the ways to do that to build our culture. And then along with that, yeah, we got management systems and all that type of stuff to play in there.
Yeah, man, you took it to a whole nother level, which I appreciate. Because when we think about gamification, yeah, we could put it in the very systems, but you're putting gamification at its core, which is the values.
Yes, sir.
And that's where they're gonna be introduced to it. That's where they're gonna experience it the most at the heart of the
Yeah,
values. And
yeah,
so if you're at the pillar, if you're at the centrality of who we are as a church, you're going to experience this community, this synergy, if you will,
yeah.
because you were just tapped into that gamifying. You didn't even know it was gamifying, but you
That's
were
it.
tapped directly into that, man. And
Yeah, man.
listen, go check out his book. It is on his website. Please visit his website. It's there. Please, 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 please go pick up his books and information. I've been blessed by it. I'm gonna pick up some pieces myself because this type of work kind of goes unnoticed, but it's already in play, and we really don't put the actual language to it that we need to put to it, like we're doing right now, right?
That's
We're
it. That's
putting
it.
language to what we see or what we dream, or what I like to call, we're putting language to the grids, right?
That's it.
And we're showing people that God can be God of the grids, just like he can be God of Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost parts of the world, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
man, not only do you have the gamifying book, please go to his website, please pick that up. We're gonna roll the credits at the end. Y'all go pick them up. But talk to us about how, or the use cases of AI in some of these small urban churches, and how we can use it better, or how we can use
Yeah.
it, period, or how we can even
Yeah.
overcome the fear of it
Yeah.
just by tapping into AI.
Absolutely. It's interesting, man. So my mother, she passed away 2 years ago, and I was
Man,
just getting into this,
rest
right?
in peace.
And
Yep.
she asked me about AI when it first starting to come, Siri, all that type of stuff, right? And I said, Mom, and I'll give you guys all this too. The average person uses artificial intelligence 17 times in the first 15 minutes of their day, right? So whether that's weather, um, helping you write a text message, proofreading something on your computer. Now with everything just being infused, search, automation, your notifications on your phone, down to, because all AI is intelligence that humans are not doing, right? If we look at it like that,
Yep.
the motion lighting your bathroom, right? The Google Chrome lighting up when you walk in a room, like just all these different ways that artificial intelligence, non-human intelligence, has done something to assist our living. And so
Yep.
when the reason it works for me, and it's worked in churches, and in use case, man, is I'll go back to my first church. I pastored a 202-year-old church in Rhode Island. Literally 2 blocks down from our church was literally the first Baptist church in America, founded in 1666 by Roger Williams, right? And so my church was the formerly enslaved Africans of that church that used to sit in the balcony. They started a church in the hill right next
Yeah.
to Brown University.
Yeah.
And so I pastored a church, man. I was a solo pastor, and then we came into some money, praise the Lord, and I was able to hire some people, but we were a small church. I have big vision. The Lord has given me big vision. And so we had to do things, and I had started bringing a lot of Gen Zers and millennials. And so I didn't want to lose out on the movement of our church because I didn't have the staff. And
Yeah.
that's where I started using things like X.AI when it first came out. And I had an automated assistant and person do my emails. Then I started experimenting with a thing called Gamma for my sermon slides. And I saw
Absolutely.
Gamma was able to make PowerPoints for me. And I started experimenting, and it was new. But I had someone who was answering my phones, X, and I had a presentation for my PowerPoints on Sundays, Gamma. And I had a whole staff person that people thought, like, how are you able to do this? Because, you're one person, but it's like I had 3 people in my office.
Of course.
So then they raised the bar for hiring, right? And so I did that at that church at that level. And then I started getting to Grammarly. And I saw Grammarly was interesting because it was infused right in the word. And so I saw how we could do this for sermons. And then I was playing with some stuff that I was working on for a chatbot for people to call the church and to leave a message, or to text the church and to respond to them, automated messaging. And so
Yeah.
I was experimenting there. And then I went to Boston University and met some folk at Twitter. Then everything just, right,
Yeah.
before it became X. And when I was in downtown Boston doing research, my mind was blown by what technology is out there. And not to mention, Boston University is 6 blocks from MIT.
Yeah,
So
for
I was
sure.
over there with the robotics at Harvard Business School, and my mind began to expand, like what is available to us. And that's when I dove into AI more intentionally. So when I moved down to California, my church is 30 minutes from Silicon Valley. So we're right in the heart of all the VCs, all the research, all the work, that I stopped going to church conferences because I realized God has called me to preach. I know how to preach. I'm going to start going where the marketplace is. And so I started going to the
I
staff.
can't. I can't let you skate. You was flowing so good, but I can't let you skate,
Man,
man. I can't
I
let you
get
skate.
you.
Because that didn't hit me until 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm gonna let you flow with that. But I think this is important to know. If we are expecting to really cut through the noise of the marketplace,
Yeah,
and we are people of the kingdom, we
absolutely.
have to go to where they are to get the information and bring it back to where we are and try to use
Absolutely.
that as synergy. So what I mean by that is I went to NAB, the NAB conference in Las Vegas. And that's more like a video, audio, visual AI
Heard
conference
about
in
that.
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So NAB is phenomenal, right? It is like, if you ever been to Vegas, Vegas has this huge corridor and it takes up all of the corridors for their conference center. And it's just nothing but tech, video, AI. It is where I learned how we're using Reels, but they were using Reels in terms of taking the packets of the video feeds in real time and cutting them and editing them in real time. And so we're
Wow.
almost there. And I know the company's doing it. I'm not going to tell you their name because I'm holding that for myself. We're
Yeah, man.
almost there where literally when church is in, we're already cutting the videos for where we need to go. And then we're
That's
done for
real.
the week. And so
That's
I think
real.
I think what you just said is so vital. And it's no knock to any preaching conferences,
No.
any assimilation. It's no knock to any of that. It is just simply saying if the marketplace has it of value, we need to enter in that space. Please continue, bro.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And that's where I got to. So I was preaching at these conferences and I'm going to these. I'm sitting here like, I'm leaving out the same context, hey, Doc, you did a good job, or hey, Doc, you preached well. Come do my revival. But yet I got teenagers in my church. I got college students in my church who are asking different questions. How do I invest money? How do I save money? What is crypto? And so I started making some decisions to then go there, like you said, and bring it back to our church conferences, bring it
Yes,
back to our churches. And so that's where I fell in love with this one Blackest Tech. There's a company, man. I'm gonna tell you, I know him. His name is Devo Harris. Have you heard of Adventure?
I have not.
Oh my God! So Adventure, man. So I began to see immersive experiences. So all of this comes
Yes,
down to use cases, immersive experiences to make our churches 4D.
yes,
And to that case, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? What am I sensing? What am I holding on to? All that now and in Thurman, right?
yes.
So Adventure Man creates immersive experiences by letting the user pick their journey. And it's a black-owned guy from Blackest Tech, Devo Harris. Amazing to find him on LinkedIn. I'm not an affiliate. I just love the company. And so we started
Absolutely.
doing our videos. So our new members class, our culture class, when you come to our church, making it like Netflix's pick your own adventure for worship and pick your own adventure for baptism class, pick your own adventure for new members class. And so for new members, for example, we would add, let's say, 5 people on a Sunday. You'd see 2 the next week for class 1, 2 maybe the next week for class 2. One. So I said, man, let's give them their own adventure. Do you want to learn about the pastor? Do you want to learn about the church? Do you want to participate in the
Man,
ministry? And you pick your adventure on our website and go through culture, and you're assimilated, get a card, get a automatically through our system, sends a follow up to the ministry leader. You're followed up and you're connected in 30 minutes instead of 3 weeks. That
yes.
was one piece, man. So then we started saying, how else do we get people to become a part of our church? And that's where MiniChat came in, right? So I said, began to see link in bio does not work.
Nope.
So we started saying, like, comment this and we'll follow up with you, comment this and we'll message you. And that people began to have conversations. And then, man, Deja.ai, Delphi, sorry, .ai, you can create
Yes.
a chatbot. So people have whole conversations with their pastor. And it's cool, even though I just put in like my work. I let every week my sermon transcript uploads and they're having conversations with me about my sermon. I can go back and check it and follow up with them. But now I'm available at 2 o'clock in the morning when you have an issue
Come
and
on,
not
man.
just during the day. And so the chatbots, the culture assimilation, and then lastly, man, we use Claude as well as ChatGPT to analyze our
Yes.
giving. So we're trying to reach Gen Z, but then also understanding our community. So how do we analyze our generosity to see giving
Yes.
trends, to see the
Yes.
last couple of years for audits, all
Yes.
of that? So we were able to project the first half of the year last year when we did an analysis of who we are, where we are, our giving trends, the ages they were giving, so that we knew what to invest, how to invest. And we really, honestly, we saw an increase, not great, but we saw an increase this year, but we knew where to put our money for the first half of the year. Using AI to analyze it, to see our giving trends, to project based upon what's going on in the marketplace. So they projected job loss. They project, all these different things. It projected using it. And so it assisted us, man, in making some decisions as a church. And in terms of use cases, it's assisted us in doing so. So I've done some training with our leaders and brought it forward to them and taking it, you buy the elephant one bite at a time, but you also, man, can fillet that thing. And
For
some of
sure.
the best
Come on.
barbecue is sacred cows, man. And so we barbecued some sacred cows while also giving you some elephant at the same time. And so I made my leaders' plates a little bit fuller so that we could consume it and see the success. That was like we invested, for example, some money in crypto, and we saw a return in Bitcoin to ATH about a month ago. And when that thing hit 72,000, we sold. Man, we were able to send our kids to the movies. You know what I mean? There's just stuff like that where
Yeah.
now they saw like, oh, this stuff is real. This is not Pastor Justin making it up. This is not some fake stuff. So it was trial and error. Some things have gone well, some things haven't, but it's allowed us to automate our systems, to project the future, and
Yeah.
to create in essence another staff person. And now with image generation coming out, man, half our graphics are AI generated and not just Canva. Half our graphics are just like we put a prompt together, and now that they've been and done a better job with people of color without faces, it's made it a lot easier for us.
Yeah, I think that's so important, man. What you just mentioned. This is only a tidbit of what you could do with AI if you put it to use. You could have a person to respond to your emails. You can have a chatbot to be an assistant for you. You can have a person being an assimilation pastor for you. You can have directive conversation or experiences for your people, which gives you a whole nother immersive experience in 4D, which I love that. And I'm going to add that to my new book. I'm going to try, I'll quote you. And having that in 4D, because I think that's so important, because if it's immersive, if it's touching everything, we can feel everything, we can see everything, we can sense everything, then we're more committed to that said space because it is taking care of every need that we have. So please, man,
Absolutely.
please, sir, if you have not tapped into some of the things that we've just mentioned, and I know we rolling, we have a lot of stuff that
Listen,
we've
man.
just discussed, and that's because we are nerds in this, and this is just we just talking. But please go back and hit the replay and hear some of these things so that you can go and be a part of it. In particular, my focus, I was talking to a guy's name, Roger Cole, sorry. And Roger is he is one of 50 Canva creatives that he's a certified expert, right?
Oh, nice.
And so that was the previous podcast. So y'all got to go check that podcast out. And
Most
he and
deaf.
I were talking about, he would hope that churches would use MiniChat more because of its use case, that you can
That's it.
literally say, hey, I have a question, and it's going to pretty much help you with that question or whatever the case may be. And it
That's it.
becomes an assistant. Now that's where AI. So I did a conference too, and some pastors were super duper a little bit, like on the fence about AI, and they made it very clear that they were on the fence. And I came right back behind them and said, AI is a tool. I
That's
don't care
it.
what y'all say. It is a
That's it.
tool. And for some of us, it is a tool that could regulate even some of the things that we are doing in church in terms of bodies that we need to have to work. We can now use them to serve. They can go greet people. They can go do everything else outside
All of
of
it.
that. So that's real clean and dope.
All
So
of it.
brother, tell us about um tell us about the new AI class that you have coming up, and how can people find that
Yeah,
and things of
definitely.
that nature.
Definitely, man. So every month I just started this actually I started in the month of May, where I started
Yeah,
doing a monthly class. So I was going to conferences and I was teaching all these folk, and I was like, what about my circle, right? I was like, what about my circle, people I know, my church members? So I did this at my church last year to start as a pilot, as to
yeah,
prototype it, and then started building it. So I was like, let me just offer it to nonprofit leaders. So I have a book out called The Church of AI, but I also wrote another one. It's an anthology to it. I took out the church stuff, and it's called What the Heck is AI? So if you have
yeah.
friends who they're like, "Hey, I'm not saved or whatnot," what the heck is AI? But that's where that book gets into. And so it talks directly to nonprofit organizations and corporations and businesses and how to use AI, understanding a futurist mindset, the stages of adoption, all of that. And so my class is the next one is June 27th, and then the
Yeah.
one after that will be in the month of July and August, all on my website, jrlester.com. And the class is 1 hour. And what we do is just in the first half, I give you some theories about futurist thinking, design thinking. We go through what is, what if, what wows, what works, and what can. And then after that, we then take one of the people in the room, the organization, and help them explicitly, so whoever raised their hand first, and walk through ideas for them. And then we go through four different apps. So I like going through what one that is new. And then my favorite LLM at the moment. It's crazy, man. You get this. So like the first time I did this, whatchamacallit, ChatGPT was great, and then it was terrible. And then Llama
Yep.
came out, and
Yep.
then it was terrible. And then
Yep.
Gemini, it was
Yep.
terrible. Then Llama, then Meta
Yep.
again, and then now ChatGPT 4.0. And
Yep.
I was laughing because I had a class, I had set the whole thing on Claude, and then 4.0 came out, and I was like, well, forget Claude, right? So
Yeah.
it just moves so quickly. But
Yeah, it does.
so like going through a great presentation, so people can get about presentation ones, and then I open the floor to questions for the last 15 minutes, and then I talk through also from there. So a next step, I have an AI masterclass. So if you
Yes.
just want to jump in on the basics of artificial intelligence, on my website, jrlester.com, is a masterclass. And in the masterclass, you get one session with me where I sit down and just go through your organization and help you out. And so we've done that, man, honestly, with a person who's a psychologist, and we work through automating some of their work. And
Yeah.
then also a person who sells jewelry. And we've been able to see increases in impact in how we've been able to automate their social media, automate some of their communication,
Sure.
and actually, man, use cookies. Like we don't use cookies well. And I'm like, to use the data we get
Come
to
on.
alter our web pages for our people that come.
Yeah.
And so with the changes with some of Google's SEO clients, we've been able to help people using AI to change with them to master the algorithms out there. So yeah, jrlester.com. My next one is June 27th. So I have an Eastern Standard Time one and West Coast. So if you're on the East Coast, it's 7 o'clock your time. West Coast, 7 o'clock your time. And I love this stuff. I don't get a chance to talk about it much. So it becomes a lot deeper than I think it needs to be. And my wife is like, Justin, like most people in these classes just want to sell the master class, and you're here helping people grow their business. And I'm like, I want to see people thrive. I want people to read my presence and be better. And so I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want to manipulate you or dupe you. We're going to go through some apps that are going to make your business better by the time you leave our class.
I think one app that we have not mentioned that I'm gonna just lob out there is make.com.
Which one?
Make.com. MAKE
I've
dot
not,
com.
I've not
Okay,
heard of that
so
one.
all right. So if you have not, here's what Make does. Similar to what you're saying, Make Make is similar to Zapier in that it
Got
lines
it.
out the automated pieces every single time. So you can create that automated. So if you wanted to, let me just give a scenario. Let's say I'll drop a Google Drive doc into a file folder. It's going to search that file folder. If anything happens to it, it's going to pull that said information, run it through ChatGPT, and then create me said things thereafter based on the prompt that I give it. Right.
Got it.
And so a lot of people don't know how important that is, because when we're talking about, let's think about this. When we're talking about content creation for church, or there is a pastor under the sound of our voice, no matter what part of the world he's in, that wants to write a book. Well, I'm writing a book, y'all, and I'm 30 pages into one of my books as of Monday, because I have a process to write books and I use AI as a tool to write that book. And so think about it. If
Yeah.
I had, let's say, and now with AI, you can talk directly into it and it will transcribe what you said and it will continue to do the work that you're already talking about, right? So now you can take that, it can already start editing, it can all start creating modules and things of that nature, classes based on that conversation. So I think that's a really important tool, especially for that pastor who is not aware of Zapier and Make.com. Learning, and here's the bigger conversation that I think we're headed down. The road of automation and how automation can help our churches. In your professional opinion, how do you feel like an automation tool could help a pastor that's in the urban community that doesn't have help? How could automation help him or her?
And automation allows them to triplicate themselves, right? So it allows
Sure.
them to make sure that the mundane things get done, especially when it
Yes.
comes to communication and to follow up. So where we miss it a lot of times, man, I believe. So my first job was a members assimilation director, And so my responsibility was to get those sheets in, get them inputted, get
Oh man.
phone calls, the letters, the email, all this. And it was good. But I mean, it was a full time job just on the
Absolutely.
ground, calling and following up and all that. Automation, man, now for us, like I have 4 staff members. We have one who does that on Mondays, puts it into our system, and is done.
That's it.
Right?
That's
And
it.
it's just done. And they're in, and man, we got guests. I have a video that goes out automatically that's
Yes.
pre-recorded that
Yes.
AI shifts my mouth and says, "Hi, so and so." And yeah, I mean,
Wait.
you know,
So wait. Your video is AI, and AI is doing the actual video for you.
bro,
For
bro, bro. People come to me after church, and y'all listen to it. I love you guys to life, but I have people coming to me after church, man. Pastor Justin, thank you for your video. What's up, man? It was AI. It was me, but it
I
just
trained it what
changed
to
one
say.
air.
Yeah.
Bro, I
Yeah.
wrote that code, and kept it moving. You know, it's just stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
and so I'm in 5 places at once. Even when
Absolutely.
so I'm out of town for a week, they get a text message, phone call, email, letter that automatic goes out. The stamp is automatic already, just on the. All we have to do is put in the mailbox.
Yeah.
That's the only main thing we have to do. So it helps pastors that way. Simultaneously as well, we use Taja and we use Opus. So like
Yeah.
we just throw our clips in YouTube.
Yeah.
It finds the viral ones and automatically throws it up there when they want it. And so my social media is done. We
Yep.
have a social media person, but they use that to
Yep.
do it. I'm like, please use AI to help you. And so it's taken so much off. So now, man, I'm on my face. And to pastors who are listening, our
Mm.
responsibility is to be on our faces to hear exactly what God has to say to his people. And I think too often we get caught up in like, I gotta grow, I gotta reach him. Use church funnels, right? Use Tasha, use Opus, use Zapier. I mean, like, I like Make. I'm gonna find out more about Make,
Yeah.
but use
Make.com.
Make, use all of these opportunities. Use Scholar GPT to help you, like to do the
Yes.
work. Like the what you would call it, the revelation is what God gives you, but what happened. So let me tell you, he turned water into wine, and it means the same thing. How do you want to put it? So use Perplexity and Scholar GPT to give you the meaning, but the revelation is what God told you.
God, that's
I'm
so
like,
good.
yeah,
That's
man,
so
that thing.
good, man.
He died and was resurrected one time, and he coming back one time, and that was historical fact. But right now, what you can do is, what is God saying to your church? And so for me, man, I'm able to get my week done by noon today, like Wednesday, right? So we're recording
Yeah.
this on Wednesday. By noon on a Wednesday, I'm on my face, man, to finish everything for Sunday. And and my stuff is done. And I'm
Yes.
able to enjoy my family. I'm able to enjoy
Yes.
my community. And I'm able to come into church on Sunday clear as to, I've got 45 minutes to answer your questions that you have for God today. You don't need stressed out Pastor Justin. You don't
No.
need worried Pastor Justin. You
Yes.
need Pastor Justin who's been on his face to hear from God for you. And so that's to all the pastors. Your job is to be a steward of your gift and of your resources, God's people. And so AI and automation helps you eliminate that so that you may not be the mega church with 50 staff people, but you can really operate like you have 12 by making sure the mundane worldly stuff, we
It's
can
taken
handle it.
care of.
That's it. So, yeah, man.
And I would add to that, Pastor Justin, that it will drive down budgetary costs. Most of the time,
Absolutely.
these urban communities, and I would even say some rural communities, their
Yeah.
number one question when I come in and do consults is, "Hey, man, what is it going to cost?" Well, what if I told you there are solutions that could help you with costs? We need to be teaching them solutions
Yeah,
more
man.
so than you asking me about my consult. Can you consult us on the solutionary piece, and then we can go from there? And I think
Let me
that's a
throw this in too, man.
please.
To that point, so one of the tenets I suggest in my book is that we are technology, and that is our techniques are a form of technology.
Oh my
I
God.
have this ebook, and I'll send the link to you for the show notes of
Yeah.
high impact, low cost church growth solutions. And
Yes.
so often, what we miss out on is the opportunity that this stuff is not expensive. When we
Correct.
look online, we see a lot of this stuff in other churches or these massive spaces. Don't get me wrong. Like I worked at a mega church. I get it. I love seeing a $10 million budget. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I love it.
It's
And then
dope.
but I was at a church. We had $120,000 budget, and it was like we still were able to save 300 people in 2 years. And so, but it's having high impact. And I think we're
Yeah.
so consumed with copying instead of seeing that our technique is technology. So
Come on.
that is, man. So I learned so many of these things not through hustling, but just what do I got in my pews, right? So
Yes, sir.
chalking the streets at a college. We just took chalk and chalked
Yeah.
the streets at a college. Your deliverance is this way. Your best day is this way, man. And came that way. We had a t-shirt design night where we went to Walmart and bought t-shirts and paint. And people designed their own shirts, man, church t-shirts, and wore them to church. Thought it was dope. But we
Yeah.
spent $100 but had impact,
Man,
community,
come on.
values, right? Values
Come on.
driven church.
That's
And
right.
so for the pastor listening of the small church, I've been there. I remember my first church, man, I had an 87-year-old musician and a 27 people in the room. And in 5 years, man, we grew that thing to over 300. I mean, it was just amazing what God did because we decided to, I'm not trying to be the mega church down the street. How do I master this and use their skill sets? So we did stuff eating outside.
Yep.
Which I dressed up as a dinosaur once because the kids wanted to go someplace. We did a design your tie challenge where we had all the kids put like googly eyes on ties, and then the church people raised money for what I would wear.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody raised for the most craziest looking tie. And man, I preached my face off on a glitter filled polka dot tie because it just, you know what I mean? But it's just little ways that churches, you are the technology
Yes. Come on,
and
man.
your technique is your juice
Come
and
on, man.
it's fuel. And when we realize and hold on to that,
Yeah.
you begin to see that the reason some of these businesses and organizations are where they are is because they own their juice.
That's
And so
right.
let's own our juice, man. So
Yeah, owning your juice, and you think about what Pastor Dr. Justin just said in terms of that the technique is technology. You go about 1400 years when we just got the Bible and the printing press, and you go beyond that, you can see very clearly that the technique that was set, it set the precedent. And because it set the precedent, we were able to experience a technological breakthrough. You can think about Nehemiah having tools on the wall. You can think about all these various things that bring about a level of technology. And where it all boils down to, what you just mentioned, is the technique. So, pastor, leader, servant leader, think about the technique that God has already given you and use that with the aid of technology and watch God move through it every single time.
that's it, man. I think we got to stop renting ourselves and own ourselves, right? I
Come
think we
on, man.
rent. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? I think we rent our gifts. And
Yes,
so we lease it.
sir.
You know, we
Yeah.
lease it, right? And we showing up and we checking in sometimes and we like it and we man, all so like even this stuff, like I commend you for your work and I went to go find I'm like, man, I know I saw your name before and I'm like, wait in the world, how have I not like met you earlier? But it's like you've been on the grind with this, man, and it's just like I refuse to rent myself
Oh,
owning
no
it
doubt. No
because
doubt.
if Jesus died for this skin I'm in,
Come on, man.
and I'm all in. You know
Come
what I
on.
mean? And I'm
Come
all
on.
in on me and what God is calling me to do because, and the same thing for you, because there are people that will not encounter Jesus
Come on.
until you flow into your gift.
Come
And
on.
so I want people to know Jesus. And because of that, I ain't renting me, man. I'm expensive. Jeez. I'm gonna own this. I'm gonna own this. It's too, my interest rates are too high, man.
This
I'm
is
gonna own
very
this.
much so. And here's the thing, like when it comes to the grind and flow of this game and being able to be in the business of discipling people and understanding what God has created me to do and understanding that there are other people that do it, they don't do it like me. A friend of mine just
Amen.
told me today, he was like, the difference between you and them is that you can visibly see your commitment to your craft.
That's it.
He said it's so visible, it's so tangible. You are committed to what you believe in, what you're saying. You're owning
That's
what
it.
you're saying. And
That's
man,
it.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys for listening. And we're gonna have more conversations.
Most definitely.
Justin will be back. We'll be
Most
back.
definitely. I look forward to it.
And we're gonna have more conversation here at Social Media Church. Justin, please tell the people final thoughts and where they can find your work and information, brother.
Most def. Listen, no matter where you are and what God is calling you to do to every pastor, stay on the wall. Don't get off the wall. God has called you to where you are. Stay on it. To every person who is engaging and understanding social media, technology, engage it and be adaptable and flexible and continue on the journey. I've been on this since 2008. There have been churches that told me to get out with it. There have been churches that say don't do it. And the reason we met today, man, is because we didn't give up. So don't give up on it. Stay on it We lead the culture. The culture doesn't lead us,
That's
right?
right.
And go you therefore. You have influence. Use your influence. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at That Tech Pastor. That's just one word, That Tech Pastor. Come through. We talk about AI technology. You see my son on there. And then on YouTube, actually, I met my name, Justin Lester, and Brown Dad, Brown Boy Adventures. And that's where my son and I just go act silly in the world. And you're going to see some Disney stuff and Legoland stuff. And that's where he and I actually do some reviews on technology. The next one you guys are going to see, we're going to review Apple Intelligence. It's going to be really cool to see.
Oh
And
man.
that's a whole other conversation we got to have a conversation about
You
because
know,
they're
we
about
were
to put some folk out of
supposed to have
business.
that
I
conversation.
know.
We just gonna have to come back and do it, bro.
Yeah,
We'll
man.
get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
But
they're
go
going to
ahead.
put some people out of business. But no, so
They are.
that Tech Pastor. And then my website's jrlester.com. If you go there, you'll see my books and you'll see all of that. I have a masterclass on artificial intelligence that goes through everything on AI, ethics, my favorite tools. And then I have a free AI ebook. So you go to my website, you click AI. It's a free ebook and my list of my favorite 200 tools. I update it
Yes.
weekly. And go out and try them, have fun with them. And then if you go to my Instagram, you'll see that I review all these tools I put up. So you'll be able to see what to use, what not to use. Like, for example, if you use a presentation, use Gamma. Don't use
Please.
Beautiful.
Please.
We tried both. All of that. So that's where you can find me, That Tech Pastor and jrlester.com. And I hope to hear from you. Please reach out. I respond. This is fun to me. I want to help you grow and help you do better whenever we leave our presence. So God bless you guys.
You've heard it here first, people. He's coming back. This won't be his last time because we got to review Apple's joint. I think I would love to talk to you about that because I know you're gonna have some opinions. I got to bring you back for that, and we'll go from there. But again, thank you guys for tuning in to Social Media Church. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know where y'all can find me. Y'all continue to support the ministry as we continue to push forward the things of God for the kingdom. Peace.